Sharps Technology has to be a crypto treasury company. And with me to explain why and exactly what they're doing, James Zhang, the strategic advisor. And we've seen a lot of companies do this with various cryptocurrencies. So Solana is the one that you chose. Why Solana?
Most definitely. Well, in plain terms, there are certain metrics that retail really values, and Wall Street does as well, and revenue is definitely one of those. Solana as a chain has done more revenue than every other chain combined. It has every metric. It has over 4 million wallets. Essentially, it is the chain of choice that consumers use. And we truly believe if you look at the ETFs that have come out for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana is poised to be the next. And right now, it is essentially providing that access for institutional capital to come in.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you did just raise over 400 million. What are you building with that capital raise?
Great question. Very, very simple. We want to accumulate as quick as possible our Solana holdings for our investors. Solana per share is one of the key metrics that we want to grow for essentially all of our shareholders to own more and more Solana directly accessible through a public vehicle in an institutional way.
Now, there's some misconceptions and misunderstandings about the crypto treasury strategy. I think S. Michael Saylor really kind of came up with the idea, made it popular. I mean, what are some of the misconceptions out there?
I think the largest misconception about crypto treasuries in general is that it takes flows away from the underlying asset, when it's the exact opposite. If you look at Bitcoin, Ethereum with multiple treasury companies out already, it's brought billions of flows into the asset class, and it's provided a new base of investors to come in where traditional capital has dwarfs crypto digital asset capital in many ways. And this is a way for them to come in before Solana ETFs are improved and have really an institutional access.
Now, Sharps was a medical device company. Are you still doing any of that? Or
So Sharp's a medical distribution business that still has ongoing operations, but we have identified and very aligned with the management team on this new Solana digital asset treasury strategy moving forward.
yeah. Now, what is the core problem, would you say, that Solana denominated treasury company solves for investors?
Great question. I think the most important piece is providing that infrastructure, where right now there are over 40 Bitcoin ETFs. There's over 20 Ethereum ETFs, but there are more than 5 pending Solana ETFs that we're very confident to be approved. And it's very simple, a very simple story for the treasury strategy, and incoming traditional capital will provide a wave of expansion. So very simply for us, it's providing that access to retail.
Now, how do you see success, would you say, over the next 12 months?
It's a day-by-day process. And right now, the most important for us is accumulating that Solana very quickly. So we've recently announced we just bought in over $400 million of Solana. So current holdings over 2 million in Solana in the treasury. And we're very excited for beyond expectations already in staking, right? Solana has 7% staking yield, more than double that of Ethereum, incredible revenue generating business. And we want to provide that in an institutional way for our retail to access.
Now, you mentioned there were some other Solana crypto treasury companies. How are you different than them?
Most definitely. Well, first is I think a rising tide lifts all ships. With Solana on the verge of ETFs incoming and traditional capital coming in a lot more, we believe that for us, that being said, having the largest size and the fastest accumulation speed is the most important. So from the recent announcement just about a week ago of us raising over 400 mil, the largest equity cash raise for Solana digital asset treasury, we've within that week already accumulated over 2 mil Solana. We plan on continuing this process very stringently. As of very recently, we just filed for an ATM directly for the public to issue shares. And we're very excited to use that cash to accumulate more Solana.
And what about volatility? Crypto is kind of notorious for being volatile and having these huge swings. How do you navigate that?
Most definitely. We honestly believe volatility is a gift in this market when you have long-term goals. And for us, we're ready to buy in at every dip that Solana comes down. Because when you have a 5 to 10 year time frame and you look at institutional capital coming in, it's rarely about short term. You have to set up the infrastructure. You have to set up for users to actually be able to access.
Okay. Now, so is that your main focus, near-term accumulation of Solana on any dips?
So the quickest is Solana accumulation, and the second is your Solana per share. So for our shareholders, say you bought in 1 share of Solana of our stock of Sharps Technology as of a week ago. In 1 month, we want the amount of Solana that you actually have access to grow a lot faster than you just buying into Solana, the actual asset, which is why we're raising this accretive capital when our share price goes up in order to buy more Solana, adding to that Solana per share metric.
And who are the investors behind?
We really want to shout out such huge believers in us that we think really validates the Solana thesis and the digital asset treasury thesis of Sharps, including PariFi, Pantera, Monarch, Primitive Ventures, Rockaway X, digital asset industry, and traditional capital leaders that have worked around digital asset treasury space and have the institutional access and distribution.
So let's just talk about digital assets in general. I mean, do you see what you're doing in others as kind of a transition to digital assets being more mainstream?
Great question. So we think there's a wave of mainstream digital assets coming in already, right? You see what's happening with Bitcoin, you see what's happening with Ethereum, the billions of dollars of flows that have already come in. Solana currently has all these pending ETFs. They have amazing growth story, over 4 million daily active wallets, 9 bill of quarterly transactional volume. And yet the story is still nascent, hasn't gone out. It is still a 5-year-old technology. So we're very excited that now as institutional capital is coming in, we can provide that infrastructure and access to it.
Yeah. Okay, James, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and explaining this innovative strategy.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So-